eviction crisis is looming. And protests, I saw a video on YouTube from Kyle Klinsky, again, my guy, saying that protests for eviction has already started. And I haven't watched it yet. But if you think the Black Lives Matter protests were bad...
I'm sorry, wait, hold on. Before you go, who called that?
Everyone did.
Who called that?
Oh, a month ago you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. Because now they're already angry about, one thing. They're already angry about symbolic things and real things. I don't want to downplay the movement.
Any movement.
But now evictions where you're going to have millions of people going to be evicted in the next year.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people that can avoid the racial issues in the United States.
Right? This is going to be real violent, bad protests.
Very fast.
Very fast. And what's the government doing?
Stalling.
Nothing. They're fucking stalling and arguing whether to give $200 a week or $600 a week in unemployment that not everybody gets.
So if you want to take the right side of history, because guess what? Those bills have already been passed. A lot of them. Well, there's one right now we're going to talk about.
Corporate socialism, baby.
But a lot of them have already happened. We're already very deep into this whole coronavirus thing.
Week 20.
If you want to be a good human being and be on the good side of history, let's try to help all of the Americans that are suffering this, because guess what? I imagine it's going to be roughly 80% of the population that's going to get a heavy negative impact from this, and already has been.
Yeah.
At least 80%.
Yeah.
And I can say the right side of history because guess what? It's already happened. And there weren't people complaining about that. There weren't people yelling about that. There weren't people pointing at how terrible this was. They were pointing to another issue. That's true. And I'm not going to downplay that or say it's less of an issue. But I'm going to say a lot of that movement is based off of how African Americans, black people in the United States, have been marginalized with wealth. And they have a disproportionate amount of black people in the U.S. that are poor. So the thing here is that affects them more, clearly. That group of people is clearly affected more. But literally everybody is going to be affected by this. Mm-hmm. That isn't the absolute up there number. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say 1% because I'm not an economist. I can't estimate that number accurately.
Neither can I.
But this is literally everybody being treated like pieces of filth because they're not in charge. Because the people who are in charge don't give a flying fuck. And it's very apparent that they don't. They just want to keep their seat. And the thing is, why is Nancy Pelosi so comfortable? What's a Republican?
Lindsey Graham.
Why is Lindsey Graham so comfortable right now?
Mitch McConnell.
Why is Mitch McConnell so fucking comfortable right now? Because guess what?
They're covered.
There's still people paying taxes for him. I paid my taxes, and now I'm getting kind of pissed about it. Really pissed about it. And it affects quite literally all of us. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're middle class, upper class, lower class. Everybody in those classes is getting affected horrendously because nobody in charge is doing anything. Sorry, we can continue. My bad.
Yeah, it's like 40.
Hashtag Nash tag.
It's like 48% of restaurants are not going to reopen ever.
And if 48% of restaurants aren't going to reopen, what's that going to do to farmers?
Yeah.
Because guess what? At the end of the day, they're probably going to be the most fine about this because they've got food.
Yeah, they're not going to run out.
They're not going to run out of food. In fact, they have an excess of food because not enough people are buying it. But guess what? Not enough people can buy it because everybody that's a cobbler or, I don't know, a window washer.
Yeah.
Or a plumber.
A teacher.
God, you're really good at these examples right now, man.
Postal service.
Guess what? They don't have enough money to buy all the food stuffs that they should be able to. Or even want. And it's not their fault. It's quite literally everybody else that's in charge's fault because they haven't handled it.
And
they ignored it and hoped a solution would come. Not even. They didn't even fucking hope a solution would come. They knew their asses were fine.
And they hoped it would just go away.
And it's not.
It's not going anywhere. Like, I don't know if I told you this. Maybe I did tell you this, Nash. I told you this morning. My friend was telling me that they're not going back to work. They work in the city. Mm-hmm. They're not going back in person until at least August 2021.
And that's
not an outlier. Her friend also works in the city. Not going back to the office until July 2021. Myself, I'm not expected to go back to the office until January 2021. I think that's going to get pushed into at least Q2 2021. So that's April.
when I hear those numbers, I think they're essentially waiting for the vaccine.
Yeah,
that's what I hear.
But still,
they've given you a date because it takes about a year to make a vaccine for this.
So this stimulus check isn't gonna help. Like I said, we have the back and forth between the $600, $200. Republicans are like, people are incentivized not to work. They're getting more money off like on unemployment than they were when they were working. That I do think is an issue. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think that's right. I don't think you should be making more money now than before you were working.
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
Right,
with that.
because especially because it's not fair to people who are working, the quote unquote essential workers who are making dimes while you're on unemployment making more money than before.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I don't agree with that. But you can't just cut unemployment. You can't. You need a UBI right now. Right now, you do need Medicare for everybody because when people are losing their jobs, they lose their health care. When people lose their houses, they're going to be out in the street, desperate. It's going to be very bad for this country. And not only that, what's going to happen to the dollar, the U.S. dollar?
If you, there's a theory about rebellion, a historical theory, one of many, and it essentially says that every rebellion, every revolt that occurs in history is based off of the concept that things were going well, they were at least okay, and then the powers that be, whatever they were, whether it's a monarchy or a dictatorship or a republic, they took those things away, and then the people revolted. It's when they didn't have access to what they were used to that things happened. But now we're getting straight up into a matter of necessity. Mm-hmm. You're dwelling.
The basic needs to survive.
And if you don't think that type of thing is coming, I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody to incite violence. I'm only assuming that it's going to occur with how things are headed.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like in Saw.
Which one? There's 9 of them.
Fucking any of them. It's all the same concept. It's sort of like, okay, the key is behind your eye. Mm-hmm. Well, you've got 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
So you can take out the one you don't need, right?
Hopefully he has a key behind it.
Right? And now that's kind of what we're getting at. And people really need to sort of look at things and be like, okay, what do we need and what needs to get cut away? Because your job, you're pretty lucky that you can work remotely.
I am fucking blessed.
Exactly. Some people aren't. Most people probably aren't. And so now it's like, well, what's really the cause of this? Because the senators and the governors that are doing fine right now, what have they done to help? Legitimately. How have they directly helped people, their constituents?
Fighting the culture war.
I think largely in part, nothing. They haven't done anything.
That's what I mean. Fighting the culture war. Fighting symbolism.
You're fighting. You rounded it out.